Welcome to Burning Bright, a weekly podcast presenting poetry and prose from Passenger. For years I thought the Rosetta Stone was named after a girl I went to elementary school with. But here's the real story. On July 19, 1799, a French officer fighting in Napoleon's North Africa campaign found a stone near the town of Rashid, or Rosetta, in the Nile Delta. Written on the stone were three versions of a decree issued in 196 BCE. One was in Greek, one in Egyptian, and one in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. The Rosetta Stone made it possible for the first time for modern civilizations to decipher hieroglyphics. It's as good a reason as any to feature some pieces about other languages, don't you think? Lee Haas Norris said she kept a journal on a trip to France, and 20 years later used it to construct her story, French Lessons, which Passenger published in its winter 2013 issue. Here's an excerpt. We cowered beside the armoire in Josette Perpignan's kitchen, my husband Chuck and I, like shame-faced children, one of whom would soon be eligible for Medicare. I was the culprit, but he'd be paying for the damage. I imagined our hostess's horror at the confession I was about to make. At least we were leaving for Spain that day. It was March 1992, cold and damp. Squat, 50-ish Josette Laurent and her svelte older daughter, gilt-blonde Nicole, had waited for us on the platform, identifying themselves with pink and black lettered signs bearing their names. No one in their family spoke English. My husband only English. But after 4 weeks in the country, my post-college French was at its peak. I was thrilled at the prospect of total immersion in Gallic speech and cachet in a home setting. Excerpt from Lee Haas Norris's story, French Lessons. Leah Johnson said, just before my wedding in 1975, one of my aunts wrote a family tree for me. Reading through these names again, it was as if I were hearing them for the first time. I couldn't get their beauty out of my head, a strange and haunting music from the Peloponnese, my father's family home. Here's Leah's poem, Country of Origin. Haunting music they make, these names. Haralambros, Vasiliki, Evangelos, Stavroula, Anastasia, Andriana, Karatsu. I lie in bed at night and recite them like a prayer, run them through my mind like worry beads. Haralambros, and they reverberate. Vasiliki, like the strings of a bouzouki. Evangelos, like olive branches in the wind. Stavroula, and they resonate. Anastasia, like the wailing of a clarinet. Andriana, like an incense-filled chant. Karatsu. I make of them a boat to carry me back to the Peloponnese, to fingers of land stretching out to touch the azure sea, to mountains and gorges, groves of twisted olive trees whose celadon leaves flash silver in the sun, to the place where I can find my own lost name, Pascalia, Pascalia. It sings, doesn't it? Doesn't it sing? Country of Origin, Leah Johnson, from Passenger's 2021 Poetry Contest issue. Mary Fung and David Lunde translated several Chinese Zen poems that they later published in a book. Here's one that Passenger published in issue 54, White Hair. Do not dye or pluck it, let it cover your head. Although there's no remedy for its turning white, black can withstand autumn no better. Pillowed on it, one quietly listens to cicadas. Letting it down, idly one watches the flowing stream. Growing old is unavoidable in this floating life, but most people grieve because of you, white hair. Mary Fung and David Lunde's translation of the Chinese Zen poem, White Hair. Diana Anhalt said, there's a song in Spanish, No soy de aquí ni soy de allá. I'm not from here, I'm not from there. I feel like that sometimes, she said. Diana lived in Mexico from age 8 to 68. She said, the one place where I've always felt at home is in that small space between my chair and my desk in front of a computer. From her book, Because There Is No Return, on Not Speaking Spanish. I was never introduced. No one said, meet Mexico, shake her hand. And if they had, Mexico couldn't have heard me over the tumult, firecrackers, car horns, mariachis, or the assault of airport Spanish. Bienvenido a Mexicani, no que quiere declarar? Have you something to declare, little girl? My only Spanish was, no hablo español. No way to ask, what am I doing here? My parents wouldn't say. Words for my questions dissolved beneath my tongue like jello, died in my mouth. When do we go home? What happened to the snow? Why doesn't it smell like the Bronx? Blackboard chalk, mackerel, bubblegum, mothballs. I combed the streets near my house, Goldsmith, Deacons, Shakespeare, for something that spoke to me in English. In Polanco Park, El Parque del Reloj, for its clock, which never worked. Mexican grass, dogs, even trees went mute when I arrived. Rocks were impenetrable. But the Sanborncito across the street displayed American comics up front. If I bought an ice cream cone, licked it slowly, I could read, savor the antics of Nancy and Sluggo, little Lulu, Archie and Jughead. They spoke my language. But Wonder Woman, Amazon warrior princess, unbeatable, cunning, all-powerful was my favorite. Her real name? Diana, just like mine. On Not Speaking Spanish, Diana Anhalt. To buy Diana's book, Because There Is No Return, or to subscribe to or learn more about Passenger and its commitment to writers over 50, go to PassegerBooks.com. Passenger offers a 25% discount on the books and journal issues featured here on Burning Bright. Visit our website to see what's on sale this week. You can download Burning Bright from Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, and various other podcast apps. For Kendra, Mary, Christine, Roseanne, and the rest of the Passenger staff, I'm John Shore.